Welcome to the February 17th, 2021 Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. I took off my mask because I am 6 feet away and also have sneeze guards around. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 9:02. If we could have Mr. Schreiber lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning. It's great to have everybody back here in person. Approval of minutes, Clerk Treasurer Parthune. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion from either Member Romine or Member Kosher?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minute from the former meeting.
Are they frozen?
is he on mute?
Mark Kosher, can you hear us? I have a feeling they're frozen. Mark, can you hear us? Well, I will second that approval of the minutes. Mark Kosher, can you hear us? And can you mute or unmute?
Yeah, I was on mute, but I had no sound until just now.
Yep.
So I do have a motion and a second for approval of minutes. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Public comment live and in person or via Facebook? We-
No comments from Facebook yet, Mayor.
We have nothing as of yet. We will review that as we go along. We'll move to Clerk Treasurer Parthune. Claims approval.
Okay, we have payroll for February 5th, 2021 in the amount of $417,879.84.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have water claims in the amount of $145,371.87, which includes February health insurance and the normal bond transfers.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have sewage claims in the amount of $394,372.56, which also includes February health insurance, bond payments, and normal transfers for bond payments.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
And then finally, we have civil city claims in the amount of $773,430.52, which includes February health insurance and February trash service.
Can we make a motion to go back to the $773?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Clerk Treasurer Parthune. Department reports, and we'll obviously lead with those individuals that were brave enough to come here in person. Mark Schreiber, Park Department.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to remind the public that we are doing our youth sports registrations. We do have those available at the office. We're open from 8 to 4 weekdays. You can do it online, and there's a link on the city website, cityoflaporte.com. You can also do it by phone at 326-9600. And we're registering for boys baseball, girls softball, both fast pitch and slow pitch, t-ball and tennis. So we encourage everybody to get out and do that. We're also currently taking teams for adult softball, getting ready for warmer weather. Put a silver lining on the winter weather we're having. I want to remind everybody the ice rink is open at Soldiers Memorial Park. We've had probably our most consecutive days of skating that we've had in quite a few years, so take advantage of that opportunity. And the sledding hill at Kessling Park is another great option. And we are clearing the trails, including the walking trail at Kessling, so it's easy access to get out to it. And I did want to make a real quick thank you to the street department. They've been doing a great job clearing our roads, and they don't get enough kudos, so I just want to throw that in real quick. We appreciate that, and of course our own crews clearing trails, parking lots, and the rink. So just hats off to the street department. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Schreiber?
Mr. Schreiber, I understand that we couldn't obviously have men's league basketball this year, but if our team won the championship last year, would we get to count that for a back-to-back championship?
No.
I'm just going to leave that right there at this point. Andy Snyder, Fire Department.
Not much to report today, just let the board know that we are in a good streak right now. All firefighters are back on duty. No COVID cases in a couple of weeks straight, so that's been very upbeat for what we've been through so far.
And Chief, just as a reminder, we had a meeting. It's amazing how often you're helping with EMS calls. Up to 80% of the calls are in that are helping, and I know you're going to be as part of a department head, and we're going to look at other options, how to further that service.
Definitely, we'll be looking at that very strongly this year's. Hopefully, look at an fire-based ambulance service and see if we can improve on the service that we already do, as well as continue to maybe make some money and revenues for the city in the long run.
I look forward to that because you're already at the call now, and looking at an ambulance service seems to make sense that I fully support. So
We're going to make that one of our highest priorities right now this year. And
perfect. Make sure Amanda Haverstick hears that from the Herald Argus, or Herald News Dispatch, whatever it is. There we go. Thank you. Tom Casey, plan?
Thank you, Mayor. Pretty busy, short week. We've got a lot of different projects we're working on. This week, we should have the tax abatement forms going out to the companies that are taking advantage of that, as well as UEA meeting tonight, 2 meetings tonight.
And great job on the Heart of LaPorte plan last evening.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good job.
Good day.
Jen Knoll, Human Resources.
Just a reminder for citizens to look at our job postings on the city's website. We've got a couple of openings for our water department. We've got an opening for our street department. And I believe Parks is hiring for a lot of their seasonal workers at this time as well. That's all I've got.
Questions for Ms. Knoll? And also, I'd like to add, Jen is heading up our Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which we have a meeting next Thursday, which is the 25th at 5 p.m. And one of the topics for discussion that's come from the community is the discussion of the LaPorte Fair and the Music Act that's coming in. We are an inclusion committee or community, and we're looking forward to taking on the topic of what should happen moving forward regarding the concert and the individual that made a statement that has people in our community concerned. So I appreciate Jen Knoll taking that on, and that will again be next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Marvin McCoy is our president of the Inclusion and Diversity Committee, and will lead that charge. So we look forward to that. Jess Bruder? Communications.
From me this morning, just want to let the board know that The website project is coming along pretty quickly. We got the wireframe design from our consultants, which is basically just the structure. After we get all the structure pieces laid out and ready to go, it's gonna be a matter of copying and pasting existing website content over to the new site. So we've kind of set a goal of June, and so far it looks like that goal is gonna be pretty achievable. And that's all for me.
So everybody hold tight. We will have a new website and we'll be middle by July, maybe.
Maybe.
All right, great. All right, we'll move now. Tim Werner, Water Department. Tim, if you could unmute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to remind the public that we are still obviously experiencing very cold weather to make sure that their crawl spaces and stuff are secured and protected from drafts. We did have 2 frozen lines last weekend. Both of them were just openings in the basements, doors being opened, allowing those meters and pipes to freeze. Very, very simple way to keep those lines flowing is just make sure those drafts and the wind's not blowing on those pipes. If you have experienced frozen lines in the past, just to run that pencil lead diameter stream of water will prevent the lines from freezing up. Second of all, like Jen was saying from HR, we are hiring for 2 positions here at the water department, one in construction maintenance and one as a water treatment plant operator. We have two gentlemen retiring at the end of May. Both been here 25, 30 years plus. Other than that, we're working through the process of the new well field, trying to gather information. That way we can go to the park board and ask permission to test drill out in the parks for 2 new supply wells. It's quite the process. We've been slowed down a little. One of the contractors that we use for that had COVID in their office. They've been closed for a couple weeks, so it put a little bit of delay in that. Other than that, like I said, I just want to remind the public to protect those water lines. In this bitter cold, they will freeze fast overnight. So if anybody has any problems or concerns, they can call the water department 24 hours a day at 326-9540. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Keep up the great work by your team. And I can always tell when Tim doesn't chew gum because then now I know what he does. He clicks his pen off and on like that. So Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Right now, so far for the month or for the year, we've did right around 600 violations. And then also I want to remind all the public that with the kids going back to school, it's imperative that the sidewalks get clean. I've seen a lot of kids having to walk in the street because people ain't out cleaning their sidewalks off. And it is an ordinance, and it's Article 3, Sidewalks and Curbs, Section 90-46, removing snow and keeping sidewalks clean. We just need to make sure that for the safety of everybody out there that the sidewalks are clean and people are out there doing it. We are going to be going around and looking at it, and if we see that the sidewalks are clean, then we're going to take and be addressing that too. That's all I have right now.
Thank you, Jeff. And it's a great opportunity to be neighborly. And if you have neighbors that are elderly or unable to shovel, to go out and help them. Jeff, if they can't and they have nowhere to turn, can they call the code department looking for neighbors to help them? Great. I think he went and muted. So Mike Fraze, Street Department, and Mike gets the gold star of the week.
We're finished cleaning up from the storm, and we're hauling snow, and we'll be cleaning up the rest of the week.
Mike, how did the neighbors do when we put the snow emergency into effect? Residents.
It helped out tremendously, and there were still some problems, but it wasn't as bad as it was before.
And are you looking whether we need to have cars move to the even number side of the street, or are we good for right now?
We're good for right now. I got guys going around cleaning up areas today where cars have moved.
Nate Toady, Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and board members. Few things. Working in conjunction with the street department. Gals are out tagging, doing 24-hour notices. They've been hitting it ever since the storm came, before the storm and even after the storm. So we're trying to do our part to help the street department and try to get some of these vehicles moved. We don't want to tow, we don't want to ticket, so our guys and gals are using every resource to try to find an owner and just explain the ordinance. Just a reminder to the citizens, the 24-hour ordinance is in place all year round, and that's for snow removal, street cleanings, and just fairness of parking in the streets. So they need to move their vehicles within a 24-hour span.
Thank you.
I'll tag along with Mark Schreiber for cleaning up our lot. We called him yesterday, moved some vehicles around, he came out, they got the snow removed from our lot, so excellent job, thank you.
Beth West, Transport.
Morning. I just wanted to give a shout out to the public too for understanding. Transport started late yesterday. We also appreciate you giving us your phone numbers when you call in to schedule rides. That helped me make about a dozen calls Monday night to let our scheduled riders know that they were going to be delayed or not being able to pick them up at all in the morning. I also want to give a shout out to all my drivers. They've had to endure a lot this past year with COVID and schedule changes at the moment's notice, and they've all been really great troopers, and I really appreciate everything that they've been doing.
Jerry Jackson, Wastewater.
The treatment plant's doing okay despite the cold. We've had some controls freeze up, had some heat tape fail, a few minor heating problems in our remote pump stations, but overall it's done pretty well. I've been pleased. I gotta thank Mike Fraze for running. They do this as just a normal. We count on it. They run their truck through and spread salt through the treatment plant when there's an event like this. And man, that is so helpful. So I really appreciate that. EJ White has started installing the mixing system in our digester. They just got started on that Monday. So that project's going forward. Selge and MCOR Electric are working on electrical connections for the lakeside grinder pumps. They've been meeting with property owners and getting that going. Something they can do inside and somewhat outside, despite the weather. So they're doing a good job keeping that project going.
Bert Cook, LEAP.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning to the board. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the Porte Economic Advancement Partnership. Just wanted to make everyone aware that we have our LaPorte Young Professionals Group has an event coming up tomorrow, which is Thursday at 6 p.m. The event is centered around building your brand. We've got about 40 people that have signed up at this point. Even though it is a young professional group, it's open to anyone of any age. And so if you'd like to participate, it's free. You can find all the information at our website, which is laportepartnership.com. You can register through that site. And we look forward to a great event tomorrow night. Thank you, Mayor.
Would you like to add last evening's resolution and what that means and what's hopefully coming to LaPorte?
Yeah, appreciate the city council moving forward, the ability to utilize the investment deduction within an allocation area for Kensington Development, which is a developer who will be building a new building, a new 20,000 square foot building at the intersection of Truesdale and Pine Lake Avenue. Eventually, once the building is built, which will hopefully start construction in the spring, there'll be a new grocery tenant in the building, and I know a lot of people are excited about that, and we're excited they chose to invest in LaPorte and put this new structure up. So we appreciate the support of the city council in that regard.
And local contractors and construction people wherever possible.
Absolutely.
Nick Minnick, Engineering.
I just wanted to let the board know that we are looking to advertise the 50/50 sidewalk program to the public beginning of March. At your next meeting, we'll also request to bid the 18th Street Greenway project, it looks like. So just a couple of things coming up, but wanted to keep you informed.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Kosher, Ms. Romine?
No, Mayor.
just going back to that, the young professionals meeting, is that in person or is it a virtual meeting?
And that'll be a virtual meeting, and so you'll log in, we use the Zoom platform for that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks to all the department heads. If you do not have business with you, we go have a great day. Let's see if we have any comments before we move to new business.
Mayor, just one from Chris Clenard, thanking the Parks Department for the snow removal on the walking trails.
Great.
It appears the First Lady is watching as well.
As well, as well as Charity Hilvasa.
Yep.
So, hello to them, and we will move to new business. Nick Otis, SEH agreement.
Yes, recommend to the Board of Works to approve this agreement with SEH. The city previously worked with them on a handful of properties to do an analysis of properties just outside the city limits and the tax impact that they would have or not have by becoming residents of the city. And this is a broader agreement. It is an amount not to exceed $2,000. Speaking with Dan Bowditch at SEH, they were able to get a significant upload of information from the county that helps, for Mr. Schultz specifically, that allows them to very efficiently do this analysis for the city. And that way, the city can present accurate information to potential residents about the tax impact.
And this is really based on the 39 North current agreement that we have, that the 39 North group has asked for further data to see what it will look like if they were considered to be residents within the city, because right now we have a contract for another 3 years, I think.
4 years.
4 years.
So 2025.
To supply water and sewer to non-residents. And the goal of this is to, as we move forward, is to focus the city on supplying water and sewer to only residents of the city. So it's a great opportunity for the 39 North group to become part of our community. I think, at least from a residential perspective, based on the Indiana statewide tax caps, that residential owners did not see an increase to their property taxes from the initial work that we did. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. Not only that, they'd probably have a savings. I certainly don't want to promise that, but your insurance rates would likely go down and your utility rates would go down as well.
As well as you would not pay the 15% increase as a non-resident that you might be paying now. And we'd have professional fire service, professional firefighters, and police service there to that area, so a lot of benefits. And so this would just detail further information of other residents, businesses, and so forth. So do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I'd also just point out that, oh, go ahead, Mr. Kosher.
So with having SCH do this, is this because of the request from that group that we're doing this, to have an independent consultant review this, or is there any reason why this couldn't be done internally, or is it just that requirement to have, not requirement maybe, but, or maybe it is a requirement to have a third party review this information?
Well, SEH is, this is a lot of their focus when it comes to taxes, property taxes, and we truly don't have someone in-house that could provide what happens if you become part of the community as a city resident. What does that do to what's the tax impact? And so this firm is professional, they do a great job, and we'll be able to give a great estimate to the 39 North group of if they're required to become part of the community, what's their current tax situation look like?
Okay, all right. And I was glad to see, I think Mr. Otis mentioned, I'm glad I'd say not to exceed draft.
And again, I think it's fair to them. We came to an agreement to do this because, our focus is looking at that water and sewer agreement that's 4 years out. We can't see extending that agreement after 2025, so early on here, it gives us an opportunity, under Mr. Otis's lead, to begin that negotiation.
Got it, okay, all right, thank you.
And Clerk Treasurer Parthune found money in the legal budget to pay for this.
Thank you, Mr. Otis.
And thank you, Nick, for your support of that. Other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Jen Knoll, Communicable Disease Policy Update, which is a weekly event.
Yes. So we do have another update. At the request of the fire chief, we are removing the fire department protocol from this policy. They're going to be able to handle those steps internally. Fire department was able to get the vaccine. In fact, those who did receive the vaccine got the second dose already, so they should be good to go. Additionally, I've highlighted the area that I've added, which is if an employee has tested positive, they've clinically recovered and is exposed again. So there's some text there. If you have any questions, let me know, but those were updated in the CDC guidelines as of January from what I was able to locate. So just asking for your approval on the update to the policy.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I've got,
Second.
there's a motion and a second discussion. So if I miss this, police, will they be included in this as well?
Police is still following the city's policy. They did not have a separate section. Fire department had a specific protocol for their department. We're removing that.
Okay. Mr. Kosher?
The only update, those that were highlighted in yellow there in the document, that was the only update?
That was the only addition, and then we removed the fire department protocol, which was attachment A.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Thank you.
Further question, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Jerry Jackson, pay request number 1, Lakeside Sewer relocation.
Is he on mute?
Jerry, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I sent this out last week, to the board members. This is pay request number 1 for Lakeside Street, in the amount of $123,553.53. That's about 7.5% of the overall contract. It's been reviewed by the engineers, and I've looked through it, and it's all the directional drilling, almost all directional drilling work that they've been doing that they can do while it's cold. I would recommend approval of that pay application.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the pay application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Change order.
This is the proposed change order for Lakeside. I sent it out in an email, but I'll go through it again a little bit. We added 3 houses at the intersection of Craven and Lake Shore Drive that had septic systems. We added those 3 onto the project because they're in close proximity to the Lakeside project, and one had a failed septic, and we're trying to get rid of septics adjacent to the lake. So it made sense to add those 3. Now those got included in the bid form. There was no issue there at all. But at the same time, we realized that there was a septic system down the road at Lions Field, and that's part of the family wanted to get that in the project too. Well, there was no quantity in the bid item put in for that. Specifically, there just wasn't enough length to cover that. There was a bid item for 1.25 inch pipe directional drill. So this item would cover, this change order would cover the cost at the contract, the existing contract unit, $30 per foot. This would cover the cost to extend down to Lions Field to cover those bathrooms down there to give them sewer service and eliminate their septic system. It hurts me a little bit to recommend a change order for $32,000 at the start of this job. That's a 2% increase in the project cost, which I know isn't huge, but I hate these kind of change orders early in the job when you don't know what's going to happen down the road. We've got the funding to cover this. I think we got 10% that we had built into the bid, and push comes to shove, we have other capital funds, but I'd like to get sewer service down the Lions Field, and I'd recommend you approve this change order.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Jerry, I just would like to say, it's going to cost more if we wait and do it at a later time. We might as well do it while we're there.
You're correct, Mayor. This one is in addition to a large quantity already, so we got a good price on it in the contract. So yeah, if we wait, it'll cost more.
So, and Mr. Jackson, this will be, so you'll pick up 3 houses, that are on septic, one that's failed, right?
Correct. There's a puddle of sewage in the yard.
Okay. And is there, are there additional homes along Lakeshore Drive right there that are still on septic?
Nope, that's the last 3.
Those are the last 3, okay, all right, good.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Bid opening.
Thank you.
Clerk Treasurer Parthune.
Okay, we have,
And what is this bid opening for?
this is for, this is another item that Jerry Jackson is working on. Jerry, why don't you explain it first, and then,
The adjacent to the treatment plant, we have our Head Creek Farm. There's about 83 acres of tillable land there. I subtracted off 10 for the proposed trade for the school system out of that. We cash rent that farm. That's what the bids are. We also use that ground to dispose of our processed solids after we treat the wastewater. So it serves double duty for us. And we make a little income from the cash rent.
so I have notice of publication, and we have 2 quotes. The first quote is in the amount of $18,758, 18758, and that is from I believe Kramer.
Kramer is the existing farmer, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Kramer. And then the second quote looks like Banwart Farms in the amount of $257 per acre, this one says. Sorry, let's use my calculator. And this one, Banwart is 257 per acre. Kramer is 225 per acre.
Jerry,
Those are good numbers.
And Jerry, you'd like us to approve the lowest bid based on your approval as well as legal approval?
That's the highest bid we want.
In this case, we'd be approving the highest bid because they're paying us.
Or highest bid,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
We want to approve the $257 per acre bid from
Banward.
Farms.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Banward Farms at $257 per acre. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
We have had an addition, and with the board's approval, would like to present Nick Minnick, Reith Riley Construction.
Yeah, I sent this out earlier this morning, something, just trying to clean up some of the projects from last year and catch up on invoices. Kind of took a back burner, but we do have pay application number 2 for our second street paving program, and this takes us through everything that was constructed up to the end of the year last year. This pay application is for $665,636.63. That's a lot of sixes, but this has been reviewed both by myself, and we had John Smith with USI working on this project too with us, and everything does look good as far as quantities, and I would recommend approval.
Before I ask for a motion, has the board had an opportunity to review these documents?
Oh, were you at? Yes, Mayor, I've had a chance to review the documents.
Jess?
No, I have not, Mayor. I apologize.
Okay. I just want to make sure you have your questions answered. This is pretty standard as a part of our process. Are you comfortable, Jess, moving forward?
Yes.
So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second? I'll second that. Further discussion?
Well, I just wanted to clarify kind of on the, so just to make sure, because I see on the invoice 3,
Yeah.
from Reith Riley, there was the red, cross out.
Yes.
Item CO1, that I think it's the 18th and A, time and material, so I assume, and then all those amounts were adjusted down. I assume that's just because that obviously has not been completed, right?
It's not been completed in the way that the community crossings works. Any change orders is paid separately, and we can't include that. So I want to wait until it's completed to present the final number and everything. So we just hold that off of the invoice in order to make sure that everything else got paid.
Okay, so that was we pulled that out, right? So that's where.
Correct.
Okay, so it just making sure there's no issue with that as far as like us adjusting that invoice to make.
No. So what'll happen is with their next invoice, we'll see the adjustment on that next invoice, and we're actually approving the pay application or the pay request, which does not include that. So that's just backup so that we can verify the quantities and see what they submitted as a invoice to our pay request that we put together.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, thank you.
Further discussion? Nick, because Jess is traveling, this was it was a late request. Can Ms. Romine abstain if she wants to? So Jess, you could abstain since we do have 2 votes that Mark and I feel comfortable with. And if you want to abstain, because again, it was late and you're on the road and haven't had a chance to look yet, feel free to do so.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Great, so I do have a motion and a second. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0, and Ms. Romine has abstained. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. And Nick, while I have you, I just want to remind everybody in the public, we will be applying for the second Community Crossings grant later this year, but we'll be using, from a financial perspective, which I think is a perfect move, using federal dollars with our local match because that's 80-20 versus 50-50.
Correct.
So roads are still getting done, and you'll see that we did not apply for the first community crossings. That's because that's 50-50, and we chose to focus on the limited funds we have to match 80-20 with federal dollars.
I think it's important for the public to remember, especially when they, may not love paying the fee when they get their plates each year, that our wheel tax and our excise tax, that goes directly to match other dollars. So the community crossings program, which is a 50-50 program, or the federal aid program, which is the 80-20 program, every dollar that people put in through there, it doesn't go to Indianapolis or anything like that. It goes directly into an account that's used to pay for streets. The issue is, even at the maximum amount of wheel tax, we don't receive enough between wheel tax and the trash impact fee. We don't receive enough with those two funds to actually fund the full match for street paving in any one year. So then we have to get creative and find additional match dollars as well. If possible, if they're available, with two programs last year, kind of running two paving programs last year, we're very low on match dollars and need to allow for that account to build back up a little bit so that we can kind of maximize the program and get the best efficiencies with not having, one or two projects, but having a full program. So, we just have to look ahead and be aware of when our match is going to be available and which grants we can and cannot apply for based on, that limited funding that we do have.
And again, we also spent quite a bit of dollars last year on a tremendous paving program. And again, our books are open, our budget is open to the public. Anybody is welcome to come in, look, to find more dollars for roads if they'd like. But again, paving will be done again this year, and we're excited about the program that's going to be taking place in the spring and the summer and the fall. So with that, unfinished business or other business, I just would like to point out a few topics. The wastewater and water bills will be going out, have gone out with the increase.
They'll go out at the end of the month.
They'll go out at the end of the month, and please remember to the public, we have $100 million worth of infrastructure work on infrastructure that's close to or older than 100 years that has to be done. We've seen enough pipes that have separated, had issue. And Jerry, anything you want to add on that? Because people are going to see improvements this year based on that increase in cost.
Starting, we'll have the sewer separation project running over in the Letters and Numbers street running this summer. That's funded out of this project. The completion of the Monroe Manor sewer separation project, that's coming out of that funding out of the new rates. If we're gonna do this sort of work and improve the system, you gotta. There's no money from state or federal sources. Unfortunately, it's funded locally.
That's great, and so people will see improvements this year. Those dollars are going straight to the ground to fix and repair and improve the infrastructure for the future. If we're going to be that community that competes with the best, we have to do what it takes to be the best. So thank you, Jerry. Also, and Mr. Kosher being on the school board as well, we've had several calls from homeowners, residents, family members of children that are walking by homes that are, the homes have flags, political flags that have profanity tied to that. And literally, I just came off a statewide email of other mayors that are asking the same question. What authority, what rights does the city have in controlling those flags, if any? And again, as I've said, Mr. Otis has led the charge for us locally here. Really, it's a freedom of speech issue. Jeff Batchelor, code enforcement, and I have met with the individuals that are flying these flags, and have just asked and shared information that there is concern, there is frustration from family members of children that are seeing the profanity, but we do not have an ordinance and do not have a right to ask them to take the flag down because it is a freedom of speech issue, correct?
Yes.
Any questions there from board members?
No, appreciate you sharing that, Bill. I had not heard those concerns. Well, certainly if you get any updates on what potential there is, again, being a freedom of speech issue, I would doubt that there was any ability to do any kind of ordinance with that, but certainly be interested in hearing what options that we may have down the road.
And then the other part, the snow emergency that we put into effect, that's been an ordinance for some time, but the first time in Mike Frase's 12-year career here that we did institute it. And I think overall, I want to thank the residents for the most part. Everybody participated, and roads are plowed because of it. Emergency vehicles can get through because we don't want to wait till a situation when one does need to get through the road that they can't. I've given the council an opportunity. They'll be working on ways that we can improve that ordinance, along with our department heads and public moving forward. But I thought it was a great run to test and see where we could improve on. Tonight as well, 6 p.m., is that right, Jess Bruder? We have a virtual town hall with all department heads sharing their goals for this year. It will be brief, but more importantly, we want to hear from you, from the public. You can join on our City of LaPorte Facebook page to watch live and ask questions and hear from our department heads on what their goals are for 2021. So we're excited about that. It will be virtual, and we're looking forward to that. So with that, any other comments from the board?
Mayor, quick question. I know we approved some of the additional capabilities to be able to patch roads throughout the winter. I imagine, with extremely cold temperatures, it's difficult, but have we actually started patching?
Great question. Our goal was to begin patching today, but obviously due to the weather, it's been an issue, and we won't be able to do that with the snow and the priority of cleaning up the remaining snow that's around. We're supposed to get snow tomorrow, so that's the only thing that can stop us from doing it. But we are ready to go. We have all the equipment. We have the hot oil, and we were hoping to video our first hot oil pothole fix today, because we will be a pothole-free LaPorte in the future, and that's high standards. But we're excited about it, and the street department's excited, but it looks like we have to take care of the snow first. So it'll probably be maybe an opportunity next week. Mark? I think we lost connection. Jess Romine, anything left that you have?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Well, please stay on, because I think we just lost Mr. Kosher. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I will second that. We are adjourned. Thank you.